All right, Matthew Fitzpatrick joins us now at the 105th PGA Championship. Matt, welcome to Oak Hill. You are playing in your 8th PGA Championship this week, and a win a few weeks ago for you at the RBC Heritage. How do you feel about your game coming into this week?
Yeah, it's in a decent spot. Felt obviously great after Heritage, and then I've only played twice since. I played Zurich with my brother, which was obviously a lot of fun, and then Wells Fargo the week after, or 2 weeks ago. Again, at Wells Fargo, I didn't necessarily play my best, but I don't particularly. I think that golf course suits my game, so I wasn't too disappointed in how I finished. It was just kind of trying to, get back to where I was from Harbortown, see where my game is, and see what I need to improve for this week.
That's great. Thanks. We'll open up for questions starting on mic 8.
Yeah, hi, Matt. Just take you back to last year. How much experience in this event last year set you up for your victory at the US Open?
Yeah, I think probably a lot. A lot. I think that final round, there was a lot of talk about me kind of playing a little bit too fast, looking a bit rushed. Obviously, at the time, you don't see that. And I only really had like a week afterwards before I was playing the next run of tournaments, so I kind of didn't really get much time to reflect on it. So, but then I think when the time came, Sunday of US Open, I felt like I knew exactly what to do. Just do the opposite of what I was doing at the USPGA. So, I think I learned a lot from that.
Just to follow up as well, when you were playing the 18th at the US Open, did it cross your mind for a moment what happened to Mito? The 18th.
Oh no!
Would you block it out totally?
You're not thinking about that in the moment. Yeah, you're not thinking about that in the moment at all.
Dan on 2.
It wasn't your best run of results in this tournament until Kiowa. Really, you were up by the lead, and then there was a late, I think, double or triple bogey, and then last year. Is that a function of you growing as a player, or some different setups that you've seen at PGAs?
I think just different setups, and it's a mix of both. I think my first one was 16 at Baltusrol. I'm nowhere near the player I was then. I was much shorter and stuff. So 16 Baltusrol, 17 Quail Hollow. Again, just a long beast for me at that point. Can't remember 18 or 19. I think a lot of the PGA setups tend to, reward long drivers. I think it does test your all-round game. I feel like the two that I did well, like you say there, Kiowa and last year, was probably because, I just think the golf course setup was a little bit more forgiving in a way. You're in the Bermuda rough there. You could still get a decent lie. You could get a flyer. So you're still getting it up by the green this week. I think, 6-7 times out of 10, you're not going to get a good lie and you're hacking it out. So I think that kind of takes a lot of people, out of the running.
We'll go next to mic 4, followed by 7 and 1.
Hi, Matt. Having won one major, what's the biggest thing you've taken from that will help you to hopefully win more majors?
I think just the confidence that I can do it, I think, being the biggest thing. I think just that, obviously, that week my game was the best it's ever been, and I also think that, well, statistically, I didn't even putt that well that week as well, so it's kind of a case of if I can play the same way again and putt as well as I know I can, then that's also another level that I can kind of add to my performance. So I think that's kind of a big thing as well from myself, that I feel like, if I can kind of do that, I know I can contend and win.
Sorry, Billy described your putting as, what was it, in the locker room, Edward Scissorhands?
Was
that a bit harsh?
I think it was a bit harsh, yeah. Sunday was there was a few ropey putts, but the one on 13 and the one on 15, I think we're just fine. I think he'll be okay with those.
Matt, Billy was saying the other day on a podcast, the tougher the situation...
He talks a lot, Billy, doesn't he?
Just a little. Tougher the situation, tougher the course, the more you excel. It's obviously going to be it's a tough course, and the conditions look like they're going to be quite tricky. Does that make you feel more confident?
I wouldn't necessarily confident. I think probably more comfortable. I think, knowing what you got to do out here this week, you just got to play good golf. It's just a brute of a golf course. It reminds me of a lot of Winged Foot when we played, just because you missed the fairways there, and it was just chipping out. And from the holes that I've seen, there's so many tough golf holes where you just got to hit good shots. And I think that's the great thing about it, is that it's a proper test. You got to play good golf, and whoever does win this week will, in my opinion, thoroughly deserve it.
Where does that comfort come from? Is that a Sheffield thing?
Where does what?
The comfort and difficulty.
I think, I just think for me it's a case of just grinding it out. I've said it multiple times, I hate it when tournaments of 25, 30 under par to win. Like, I don't particularly feel like I play well in those, and I just like it when it's hard and you got to battle, and a par's a good score. I think that's I just enjoy it for whatever reason.
Just another Billy one in the same podcast. He said that he gave you another robust talking to. I think it would have been prior to the Masters. He didn't specify. Could we just have the details of that? And quite a regular
it was
thing?
nowhere near the level of the year before, and it wasn't even. I don't even know what he's on about there. It's like we've literally had I think we had one discussion this year about. He just mentioned a couple of things in my game and the way I go about things, and literally that was it. Last time he was tearing me a new one, but this time it was much more. Yeah, it was fine.
Alex on one.
Matt, when you were answering Dan's question, it almost sounded like there were two different Matt Fitzpatricks, the one before they found the length and the one after. Is that how you look at it? And if so, how much better is this Matt Fitzpatrick than the old one?
I think if I'm honest, I think there was probably a different one from 2019. I think that's kind of where things changed. Billy was on the bag. I think that was a huge addition for me. His experience, it gives me a lot of confidence. He tells me better than probably what I think I am, and also brings me back down to earth when, if I'm getting ahead of myself. So I think Billy addition was huge. I think also the way I went about my practice, I just feel like I became even more professional from then in everything I did. And then, like you say, the addition of the length didn't really sort of get longer until like end of 2020 really, but I still felt like 2019 I didn't win that year, but I had like a great season, played really well. So yeah, there's a huge difference in where my game is now compared to where it is then, and I just think a lot of it is just growth, kind of, physically and mentally, and understanding what you have to do well out here to compete. And yeah.
With that, your approaches to these events, meaning the four majors, is it totally different?
No, I hope not. I think, again, probably before last year, me and my coach Mike Walker had a good conversation about that he felt I was putting too much pressure on myself in majors, and he felt like when I turned up to a major, I was a different person. So I said to him at the start of 22, if you feel like I'm changing, tell me. And he didn't need to, and obviously I had my best major season to date. So, I think for me that I've just tried to be, do what I do every single week, have the same plan, and just try and be more patient and accept more bad results than good results, because that's the way golf is, so.
Great. Juan on 9.
So Matthew, there's been just a few winners from Europe in this event. Do you think it has to do with the golf courses, with the setup, or?
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of both, the golf course and the setup. Yeah, I just think it's a tough test. I think you don't really find many golf courses like this one, for example, in Europe, particularly that aren't set up like this. Playing on DP World Tour, there's very few, if any, that are set up like this. This is one in a 52-week year normally, bar the US Open, depending on the venue. So it's, yeah, I wouldn't say it's easy for Europeans. I feel like, the Americans probably a bit more used to it, playing in golf courses like this, set up like this.
And on the other hand, they used to say the same thing about the US Open, and a guy from England won it last year. No? So,
yeah. Again, I think same deal. I think the same deal. I think that one's a little bit different to this. I don't feel like, again, purely dependent on the venue, because Wingfoot was long, Erin Hills was long, but I feel like the US Open is kind of a bit of a different test. It normally gets firm and fast and tricky. I feel like US PGAs tend to stay like just long and tough and brutal. So.
Cool. Let's go to Mike 4, followed by 5.
Matt, before the Masters, you had pretty low expectations, given the sort of injury problems you had at the start of the year. How would you describe your expectations being different this week?
Yeah, I'd probably say, I want to keep him the same. I want to keep him the same. I just think the important thing that I've found this year is, as cliche as it is, you're never as far away as you think, and you're also never far away from playing bad again than you think. So I think that was the big thing, is like I was having not a great time at the start of the year and sort of getting really down on myself and disappointed, and when all I needed to do on paper was just keep doing what I was doing, work hard, try and get back to the level I was, and hopefully the results take care of itself. Obviously it's easier said than done, but I definitely feel like my expectations have been really good since before Augusta, kind of Austin time. So it's just trying to do more of that, and just trying to stay level, and just being really patient. I think that's what I felt like I did so well at Harbour Town.
Mike 5.
Matt, before the US Open last year, I wrote about you, and then you kindly obliged by winning. Now, if I write about you this week, today, will you please oblige again?
Yeah, I'd be happy to, yeah.
Go on.
No, yeah, sure. I was wondering where the question, yeah, I'm just hoping I play well, yeah. But no, I feel game feels in good shape, and I just think this golf course is going to be tough. Obviously, the weather tomorrow is going to be pretty cold early on, and yeah, I just think US PGAs are difficult.
If you had, would you mind finishing the sentence? The man who wins here has two. Would you mind finishing that for me?
The man who wins here has to just play really, really good golf. Yeah.
But that's true of every. Come
Sorry.
on.
Well, yeah, they do. They got to do. You got to do every facet of the game well. You got to drive it well. You got to hit your irons well. You got to chip well, putt well. That's what I feel like US PGAs are. You got to do every single thing well. Like you can't get away with anything.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.